alongside Jerem Jordan. Now let's make it a true party and bring in Jonathan Tavernari, former BYU basketball standout. He was a star in Europe, can still shoot the three ball. And wow, I know you enjoyed watching Jake Toolson and BYU shoot 50% from the three-point line last night. We've been asking the question, who was more impressive, Jake Toolson or Yoeli Childs? Where do you stand on that?
Have you ever hurt your hand and tried to shoot a basketball before? It's, by a mile, it's Yoeli. Now, don't take it away from Jake, right? Because it was, I think it was 53, 51. And then he just went on the rampage. And, you know, I think BYU went on a 21-0 run. He had 9. And as a shooter, there are great moments, right, during the game. But when you make the first one, and you make the second one, and you make the third one, and then a coach calls a timeout after that third one in a row, you're like, yeah, they cannot stop me. It's a great feeling. The crowd's going crazy. And that was amazing, right? I mean, we're looking at this right now. Just at that point, you don't see a hoop. You see what in Europe, in Italy, we say you see a tub. You see a swimming pool, nice. Right? And so that's why you see it. And so, but again, Yoeli, I am amazed. I mean, this guy has had everything thrown at him this season. A very nonsense suspension. Then he gets hurt, and then he was cramping, and then comes back. I mean, I was amazed. Those left-handed hook shots looked unreal. And put on the glasses, got the choo-choo train hat on. This team, as long as they're healthy, should I swap it? There you go.
This is the turning hat.
As long as this team, how does that look? How does that look, sweetheart? As long as this team stays healthy, they're not losing again.
So you think they're going to beat Gonzaga at home?
I do. And here's why. That team yesterday, they faced quite a bit of adversity, right? When you look at the nonsense that happened when the dude smacked Zach, upside his head.
Changed the game.
He changed the game because they were being physical and they were being very, into the game. BYU started 8-0, you know what I mean? So
that tied the largest deficit. BYU has come back in and a win this year.
But when you look at it, that changed the game because at that point, everybody was like, hey, we're going to be tough, right? And I mean, somebody put it on Twitter, Daft taxes and Dalton Nixon taking charges. Those things changed the rhythm of the game, right? But when you look at just how that team came back and won, and every time Pacific made a run, BYU responded. And not only just responded with just a quick bucket. They responded in style. It was either a wide open layup. I am a huge fan of TJ. He had a couple of just finger rolls, big corner from the 3 in the second half, and then Jay came to play. But again, it's something that we talked about when Yoeli came back against Utah. You had this big, shiny new toy. And yesterday, every time BYU had a hard time or they started guarding the perimeter a little bit more, Jake and those guys, they never forced a shot. They just put the ball down the post on Yoeli. And for the life of me, nobody double-teamed him.
I know. It's crazy,
and
right?
It reminded me, and I had some playful banner with Trent Placid, but with a lot of my three-pointers in my career, I owe it to Trent Placid, because if it wasn't for people double-teaming him, I wouldn't have been open, right? Obviously, it was up to me to make the shot, to my teammates to find me, but they never did that. So I'm really curious how, obviously, when you look at San Francisco, the result of the St. Mary's game, but when you look at all of these teams are going to have to play before they play Gonzaga, I mean, they should dismantle them the same way they did last night. And when it comes to that Gonzaga game, who's going to guard Yoeli 101? Are they going to do that? And again, you're going to get 20,000 crazy people in here yelling, jumping, and screaming, put on a show as only BYU marketing knows how to do. There's no way they're losing. And again, you're right.
There's no way they're losing.
It's the number one.
Quite the statement.
I understand it's the number one team in the country. However, it's a conference foe, and you guys know when conference play, everything else changes. It's a conference foe. Jump on the train wagon, put on the goggles, all of that stuff. This team stays healthy, and I'm not just saying making three-pointers. We talked about 42%. Right. This team stays healthy and everybody plays, they're not losing. And I say not only in the regular season, but also in the conference tournament.
Wow. Oh, my gosh.
I'm just saying, they're playing that good.
Listen, it's been a while since Brian Logan was on the show. We haven't heard hot takes like that since he was here. Because, okay.
Did he put this silly hat as well on?
No. Here's what I really want. I want us to just clip off a piece like after you put on the hat, and someone would be like, "What is that hat he's wearing?" You know what I mean? If
Right.
they forgot about the
That would be funny. And I'll go like this too. Ah, look at that. Yeah. Can I go like
BYU
that?
Sports Nation shirt. That's awesome. Okay, let's talk about what you just said. If BYU wins the rest of the WCC games and they get to February 22nd, they play at Pepperdine the next week to close out the regular season, BYU won't have to beat Gonzaga at home. They would be securely in my opinion, at that point. So it would be gravy, and then they could let loose. That would be the best situation.
Right.
That would be the best situation. And perhaps BYU doesn't feel as much pressure. They say, you know what? Look, we're in. All we need to do to go to Vegas, get the 2 seed, win the semi, bang, we're in the tourney. We're just helping seeding. Let's play loose.
I mean,
then it could get interesting.
Why set for the terrestrial kingdom when you can get to celestial?
Because Gonzaga's the #1 team in the country.
Okay.
I just saw BYU.
You're
play
a smart
Gonzaga.
guy, or at least you look like one.
I'm not that smart.
BYU has gone to the Kennel with lesser teams, with lesser situations, and beat them there.
I think Gonzaga's better now.
BYU, and I understand, and understand something. They're the #1 team in the country, right? Let's take a step back.
If we said it was Kansas,
listen, let me talk to a reasonable
and they
man
came in
here.
punching.
What did BYU do? Thank you for that. What did BYU do the first half against Kansas? And for the matter of that, for the first 30 minutes of that game, BYU was right there.
Absolutely.
What did BYU do with San Diego State?
They were up 9 in the second half.
Up 5 with like 3 minutes to go. Okay? The #1 team in the country coming here. Forget about the #1 team in the country for a minute. But
they're number
with
2 right
Yoeli,
now. They're #1. Yeah.
With Yoeli and all of these guys sinking, these guys enjoy playing with each other. They enjoy playing and working for each other. They respect the heck out of Dalton, of Zach, of Connor. I mean, a bruised knee, good grief. I mean, that's painful. A dislocated finger, and it is right-handed. That's how he shoots, and he gets 26 points. You know what I mean? Understand this. This team, this season is special. And everybody's going to remember because it's going to be the first Mark Pope, first season of Mark Pope. But what a special way to send these guys out, to welcome Mark Pope into the fold. And you're 100% right. If you look at this team and you take away a couple of bad losses here and there, I 100%, you guys are going to call me crazy. The Boise State loss was bad. The SDSU loss was also bad. They were up the whole game. And so
it's not a bad loss. They're a 1 seed.
Okay, after the show, you and I need to talk basketball.
The way they lost is what you have a problem with.
That's my point.
It's fine, yes.
But that's a bad loss. You shouldn't have lost that game. You were up the whole game. Homeboy started shooting 3.
It's fine.
What's his name? Shackle. They put the shackles on. You can't do that.
Jordan Shackle.
You know what I mean? And so a Gonzaga team comes into here like, oh boy, this team has won 7, 8 in a row. They are rolling. They see a tub when they toss the ball into the hoop. There's no way that's going to be an easy game, and I like my chances with BYU in that game.
JT, rocking the conductor's hat.
I'm just saying,
Looking good, man.
I appreciate it.
Looking good, brother.
Thanks, guys.
Love this. All right.
Okay, coming up, NCAA Basketball Insider Andy Katz on BYU's resume so far.
And Nixon Barber of BYU Hockey will, 1, I'm sure, compliment Jerem's jersey selection, and 2, give him some pointers on how to drop the puck. This is BYU Sports Nation.
It seems like it's going to be really hard.